This is a unique and audacious social experiment. Some have claimed it's impossible. Nothing of its kind has ever been attempted before, creating a modern, mechanized working farm on bare rock, staffed by recovering drug and alcohol addicts. This is their story.
Well, Beacon Farms, it's a charity, and it's been set up to find a work environment for people who have been through the recovery programs to do with alcohol and drug-related issues. What we're attempting to make a sustainable, viable company based on farming.
You know, I'm still alive, and today I'm grateful that I had that second chance to make a difference in my life.
He's the most cantankerous motherfucker you've ever met.
I like playing with this dirt.
Oh, God.
I never thought I'd be getting paid to play in dirt.
You're seeing the very early steps of starting a farm from scratch.
But working with recovering addicts has some unique challenges. Over the past 3 years, there's been a series of natural disasters.
All non-essential businesses should close.
That have threatened the entire Beacon Farms project. But pandemics and fires aside, there was an even more fundamental obstacle.
The farm is basically on rock, so we don't actually have any soil.
A farm with no soil is a bit of a problem. But no soil wasn't going to deter Sandy. He had a plan.
We would expand that facility.
We're revolutionising how they look at agriculture on the Cayman Islands.
It's going to take 3 years to perform a miracle. The farm used to be called the Moyle Plantation, owned by one of Cayman's most respected political figures, Edna Moyle. Over time, the property became derelict until this man came along.
This is just a test plant, so we're going to see how well it grows, how well it flowers.
Scott Haugh, a recovering alcoholic with his father Granger, a wealthy philanthropist, by his side.
Why do I care about addicts? Because I am one. And I know what it's like to be one. And I know what it's like to feel like you're at the end of your rope and at the end of the world with not a whole lot of opportunity.
The issue of addiction can affect rich and poor alike. But in Cayman, there's limited help available. Scott had been attending AA meetings at the Bridge Foundation in West Bay, run by Bud Valinsky.
We became friendly, and he was telling me that maybe someday he and his father might be able to do something for us.
We realized that a lot of Caymanians were spending time at the Bridge Foundation and getting on some solid footing, and then moving back home or moving back into their communities where unfortunately a lot of the problems stayed. And we found people were relapsing or getting into trouble and then coming back to repeat the whole process.
Together, they hatched a plan.
So I got together with Bud Valinsky and we sat down and said, well, we need a second step to take those people and do more than just a living environment, but give them a job environment too.
The best program for an alcoholic or an addict is a job. A reason to get up in the morning, a reason to do a good day's work at a fair rate of pay, and be tired enough to put your head on the pillow at night without thinking about all those things that might have gotten you into trouble in the first place.
So they told me, you know, when I was in my travels to look for property, I found this property.
When we found this place, it was in the middle of a jungle. We decided that we would buy that, so Margie and I personally bought the property and leased it back to the new foundation that we created.
And they named it the Beacon of Hope Cayman Foundation.
Once the paperwork was done, we came up here with a van load of fellas from the halfway house, and we started. And we came in here, and piece by piece, we put it back together. They all started taking pride in their work. They became drywall installers. They became painters, electricians.
The house was ready, but the farm was still just an idea. By early 2019, Beacon Farms was still a farm with no soil. It was being run by Bud, with Scott and Granger in the wings. They knew everything there was to know about addiction, but very little about farming in the Caribbean. They were struggling and going nowhere. The whole operation needed someone who knew what they were doing. Bud placed a call to a friend, Sandy Urquhart. With a background in large-scale horticulture and development, Sandy's expertise was just what they needed. He needed to design a master plan, and fast.
To the point where
He had land, he had a crew of recovering addicts, and a generous benefactor, and he had a farm with no soil. The first step to solving that problem was staring them in the face.
It was onto the clearing of the land so we could get it farm ready. We turned all the trees into mulch, which we used to mix up to form proper soil compositions and to cushion the land around here because there's a lot of rock, so we use some of that for cushion.
Turning their green waste into compost was a start, but the next thing was to decide what to grow in it. Granger had an idea.
You know, if we're going to grow crops, what would be the best crop to do? And I thought, well, you know, tobacco's not grown on Cayman Islands, so let's do tobacco.
What prompted us to start tobacco, of all things, on the farm was the fact that tobacco has never been grown in great quantities here in Cayman. And if you think about it, Cuba is practically, right there, and it grows really well in Cuba. So the way of my dad's thinking is, well, why wouldn't it grow well here in Cayman? But no, again, nobody has ever done it on a large scale. So we thought, let's try it.
You know, the money in tobacco really isn't in the leaf. You know, the leaf sells $20 a pound. So let's put it into a cigar, and that cigar now gives us a much, much higher profit, and let's feed that profit back into the farm.
The recovering addicts officially became employees. They'd learned the skills to renovate the house. Now they had to learn how to be farmers and how to grow tobacco. John, who had a serious addiction problem, loved everything about it.
You really want to catch them when they're small like this. I like playing with this dirt. I never thought I'd be getting paid to play in dirt. But the most thing I love the plants. Because you plant them and you can watch them grow. It's almost like a baby. You have it from the seed and you keep growing and then it develops. And then eventually it'll turn into a cigar, which is pretty expensive.
The success or failure of the entire Beacon Farms project is dependent on men and women whose lives have been ruined by addiction. This was their chance, perhaps their last chance, to rebuild a new life and leave their pasts behind them.
My name is Obed. I'm the senior coordinator of the farm.
For Obed, it was a toxic combination of both drugs and alcohol that nearly killed him. It took a dying mother to turn him around.
She came to the hospital again, and from the hospital she never recovered. So at that time when I see her at the hospital, I made a decision, I need to take care of my life. I cannot continue. I had to appreciate the gift of life. But I came and I made amends to my mom, and I spoke to her, and while she's laying on the bed, even though she could not respond, I just seen a smile on her face, you know, being happy to be able to know that I made a decision to make some changes in my life. And I could always remember that look.
Obed is probably the lifeblood of the farm. He's one of these guys who started out in construction, and he can turn his hand to anything. Yeah. He's the most cantankerous motherfucker you've ever met.
It's not because we are bad people, it's just that we made some bad choices.
But he is wonderful underneath it all. I mean, I really like him. And we get on like a house on fire. And I have supervisors. He's the senior supervisor for the whole place.
My job, it requires coordinating the day-to-day work.
Then I have Robert, who's in charge of propagation and the nursery and stuff.
So this farm and of the places that helping artists get on with their life, I would work with them 24 hours a day. Because, you know, it's a great thing seeing someone else like myself and others came out of hell's door and become somebody back in society, and we're like, wow, amazing. It's an amazing thing. It is amazing. Yeah.
And then Anthony, as a young guy, he's in charge of all the machinery, and he's got a hell of a lot of machinery to look after. He does. And they all report to Obed, and then Sasha, and then there's a big crew of about 11, you know, scattered around sleeping no doubt at this time of the afternoon.
Meanwhile, Robert is tending to his tobacco plants. He's a fast learner, but growing tobacco isn't as simple as it seems.
A tobacco tree, we can get at least about 16 leaves. That's exactly what we want, about 16 leaves.
It's something of an art form.
We'll just grow a certain amount of tobacco, and as we develop, and it'll take years, as we develop, we'll improve the quality of the leaf, and then you get into drying it, and then after that, fermenting it. So there's different stages. It is absolutely like wine.
Every leaf matters. I don't know if you guys know that every leaf matters, right? Every leaf gives a flavor of a cigar. If one leaf is missing, the flavor is gone from that cigar. It's not a cigar. Right? When you know a real cigar, they can smoke it, they're like, something's not right there. You learn that much. Thank God I learned that much. You know, it's something that we have to learn every day. You know, yeah.
The future of Beacon Farms is relying on Robert's ability to produce a tobacco leaf worth smoking. As for Charles, he's had to become an expert in soil composition. For all of the staff here, it's a steep learning curve.
I would say the most challenging part for me here was learning the soil compositions, learning how to take care of the plants. Sometimes that gets a little bit tedious, but you know, it has to be done. We use everything is all organic, so you know we have to really search long and hard to find all approved for organic farming, fertilizers, pesticides and stuff like that. Then you have to learn the formulas, how to properly mix them and all of that kind of stuff. So I say that right there has probably been like the biggest challenge, to commit all of that to memory.
Facing those challenges is what gives an addict, an alcoholic, that opportunity. Besides looking at self, we look at how we can help at a bigger, as a group.
And then they're nurtured and watered.
So far, everything seems to be going to plan, at least as far as the recovering addicts are concerned. But the lack of soil was still a problem. They just couldn't make enough of it from their green waste.
We have all this jungle that we've been clearing and chipping, so we have big piles of chips.
If they couldn't make enough soil, they wouldn't be able to grow enough tobacco or other crops to make enough money to make Beacon Farms viable. Granger has an idea. The plan was a state-of-the-art compost facility from America with a price tag of $200,000, the first of its kind in the Caribbean.
If we use the compost, we don't have to worry about putting artificial chemicals into the ground either. So that's a plus. So now we got the best of all worlds. We found one of the horse people here is giving us all of the manure that she has. So the manure will be one of the ingredients in the compost. We have all the cuttings, and we're going to be getting more green waste in, and we're going to chip that, put that into the machine. It grinds and mixes it, and in 17 days we should have a compost pile.
Now, it might look like just a big, expensive shed. But in fact, there's a complex system of air pipes to accelerate the composting process. Beacon Farms is becoming a big business. And like all businesses, unexpected challenges are always just around the corner. First off, the composter isn't producing enough compost because there's not enough raw material available to feed it.
I've got a reduced volume of soil, and that's meant that I've had to reduce the amount of land that I can actually grow in. So instead of attempting several crops, we're just going to focus on tobacco.
We've got about 1,000, maybe 2,000 seeds growing at the moment, but they're in 2 trays. They're so tobacco seeds are minuscule. They're like a little pinhead. Believe it or not, there's thousands in these. And they have to be taken out, carefully separated, planted in each one.
It was a huge challenge because, as far as we know, nobody in the world has ever grown tobacco at the elevation that we grow tobacco on an island of the size that we are, with the restrictions on water and soil and climate that we have.
With the tobacco growing well and thriving, it would soon be time for harvest. Then they'd have to dry the leaves. They needed to build a drying hut. It was a perfect project for Obed, with his background in construction.
We have the tobacco already coming up, and we really need to get it into a drying area. Framing is completed. We are about to begin the thatching. You got to start from the bottom, like most jobs do. I love the construction side. It's my experience. That's what I love. I've been doing that from teen. We're not experts, but we trying our best with what we have around here. The farm itself is coming on pretty good.
Obed has risen to the challenge offered to him at Beacon Farms.
So being able to do things in conjunction with the rest of the individuals is gratifying in itself. And I'm grateful. I'm a 56 years old. And I wish I had the opportunity before. Maybe I did and I just didn't see it.
I like to see the light in their eyes when things start to happen that are affecting their lives in a positive way. And that's the biggest thrill.
Beacon Farms is a social experiment with a huge price tag. And for Scott and Granger, a huge gamble.
It cost Granger personally, because he bought it personally with his wife, Margie, over $1 million. The farm is funded in 2 ways. One, Granger's Family Foundation fund us on a monthly basis. We never exceed the budget, but the amount of money required to run the farm is in the region of $68,000 US a month. On top of that, we were funded a further $4 million to purchase machinery.
All of that has to eventually be repaid.
We're developing as we're going right now.
The pressure is on. It'll be crucial to prove that Beacon Farms can, in time, become a viable business. Every expense is closely monitored.
Maybe top up some and the agricultural show start.
I tell you what, just as an aside on this, we look at all that plastic.
Yeah.
Plastic. God, we just got to. There's a real overall business thing there that we ought to be resolving.
But already, Beacon Farms is making waves. It's attracted the attention of the government. The Small Business Minister, Joey Haugh, has come to see for himself a project that could transform agriculture on the island.
This is quite inspirational, actually, coming here and seeing the effort put into the farm and the thought process behind it. And I just think it's fantastic. I think the opportunities that it provides for the employees and the persons that take advantage of the program. It's great, and for the country overall. Obviously, you know, as part of my ministry, small business and the economy, it's important that we do all that we can to encourage diversification. There's a lot of discussion globally about you know, food sustainability and food security.
That is a big fella.
It is. Well, actually, this one.
Everything was going to plan. Beacon Farms was finally starting to fly, but it was about to come crashing down to earth.
To deal with the increased threat of COVID-19 spread through the community, all non-essential businesses should close.
In June 2020, 3 months later, lockdown was finally lifted.
COVID really set us back half a year, 8 months in production time. It slowed down the introduction of machinery that we were planning on purchasing. The knock-on effect was huge in the scale of our projections for where the farm was going to be.
It was time to get back to work. Big plans have been made to expand the farm. One of Granger's other ideas to process the island's coconuts has been running full steam ahead, producing oil and flour. They just can't get enough coconuts to make it viable.
Coconuts are one of the biggest issues that we have, because to make coconut oil, we already require about 6,000 coconuts a month. And we're certainly not getting sufficient coconuts from the island. So we've decided that the longer term solution is to plant our own plantation from which we could harvest in probably 5 to 6 years' time. We're anticipating our first crops.
Since COVID, food security has become a big issue for the Cayman Islands. Beacon Farms has felt it too, and has decided to start growing food crops.
The other big project that's been quietly ticking over is the development of the vegetable market garden. We've earmarked a small area, it's only 100 by 100 feet, but it's the beginnings of a little market garden. We're pretty confident there actually that we can grow a good cross-section of vegetables. But once we've got the idea behind growing vegetables, well, in that scale, then we can step it up and really start to look at a bigger volume.
It's extra work for everyone. Because of COVID, the island's detox program, Caribbean Haven, had to let people go. They asked Beacon Farms to take on 3 of their recovering addicts: Rebecca, Amy and Stephanie.
Scatter them out.
All the other staff here were much further on in the recovery process before being taken on, and better equipped to cope with the responsibilities and opportunities.
I love to work, you know, and kind of it keeps me going. I start to sing and everything else, and everybody like to hear me sing, so it's like, you know, everybody like my charisma, and yeah, I'm outgoing. So I'm fun to have around, you know.
All that pile, all that bush that you saw that we put in that trailer earlier, that was bush that we cut down on Monday and stuff, yeah.
Amy and Rebecca both missed out on the halfway house stage, so this could be risky.
I love living here. It's I have my own room, my own bathroom, so I have my privacy. I do share a kitchen, but so far that's working out really good.
And it's very good to see that we got addicts coming to work and alcoholics coming to work and working together as a team, you know? And that's a miracle. That we eating each other head off, so.
Yeah. Stephanie used to work in a bank and is a valuable addition to the administrative team, sorting out the accounts.
Right now I'm doing a auditing project, and then when I finish doing that, I will go and work on the grounds in the greenhouse. The environment here on the farm is one of serenity, safety, and it allows me to continue my growth in my sobriety.
It's a long journey for everyone. Charles is going from strength to strength, and in order to diversify away from reliance on tobacco, he's now in charge of growing mangels.
Okay, so this is mangel. It's kin to the family of beets. What this is mainly used for is livestock feed, cows, horses. Also, it has culinary uses. You can eat it just like a beet. You can make salads out of the leaves. You can boil the leaves, put the leaves in stir fries, whatever. So it is quite a multi-purpose plant. But properly tended to, properly sprayed, and properly watered, these will grow into fantastic, beautiful looking plants. But the minute pests get in and start eating up your leaves, this is what happens to your plants when cutworms, caterpillars, or even snails get involved with them. You know, this is what happens. So what we do to counter this is we use an approved for organic farming pesticide called Dipel. So that helps to combat with caterpillars, cutworms, and anything else that might eat your plants, which is very bad for the plants. A healthy leaf means healthy plants.
As for all those mangoes left unattended during COVID, they have a plan for them. Making mango jam. For Beacon Farms, every penny will count. While the market garden is still being prepared, they're planting seedlings in the shade hut.
Today we are going to plant some pop chow seeds and some scallion. Pop chow and some scallion into these plant pots here. This is the market crop. Yeah, we're trying to specialize to see that if everything works, and once it works, then we would open up our own farmers market. We would get our own stall at the farmers market. So it's a tryout thing, you know. So once we get it going and it works well, we can put it on the market. We got to bring in that income, you know, the money.
The Beacon Farms project is coming together, providing the right sort of environment and opportunities for the staff to turn their lives around.
You know, it's almost my whole life has fallen apart. So here I am living at Beacon Farms in the sober living house, and putting my life back together. I've struggled with the addiction on and off for 10 years. Yeah, and the last 2 years of my addiction was real terrible. I was drinking very heavy, and I just didn't care. I'm a mother, you know, and I'm lucky that my son still wants to have a relationship with me.
As for Sasha, she's been here since the beginning. She's a former agricultural scientist and a recovering alcoholic. Now she has a vital role, both in the back office and out in the field.
This is the first job I've had since I've been in recovery, and you know, it's night and day to working while you're out there struggling with addiction. I tried that for many years, and it's very difficult to have that on your back and still try and be a respectable person in the workplace, you know, and coming here with people who share that background and understand, you know, where you're coming from is quite a load off mentally and spiritually.
All of the staff have complex issues, and tensions are never far below the surface. Arguments happen. Dealing with disputes between the staff comes with the territory.
Conflict and resentment and all that sort of stuff is a big part of, I guess, of the reasons behind addiction. That's something that comes up all the time, and we always talk about what to do if you're upset with someone and how to resolve a resentment that you have. And, like, that's something that we discuss a lot, but it's something that all of us that are in recovery have to get a handle on. We have to do it because resentment is the #1 killer of addicts, actually. It's been said many times, resentment will kill you.
But the big picture remains, and Sasha will have a key role in growing Beacon Farms into a viable business.
I used to work with the Department of Agriculture, so I'm helping the nursery manager down there, in terms of pest control and fertilizers and the irrigation and stuff.
Sash is the doctor here, we sit around our little round table, our big round table, and we discuss what we're going to do, our plans and etc. But she's very helpful to me,
Amongst all that, I have agreed to assist with the admin and HR of this place, so yeah, so hands are pretty full.
Visually, and integrated there.
Things have just kind of exploded since I arrived. And I heard all the plans for the future, and so it's a lot of exciting things on the way.
This is how we're going to do it.
Meanwhile, Robert is teaching two of the new women, Amy and Rebecca, who came straight from detox, how to plant out the next tobacco crop.
Okay, ladies, show you guys this. It's kind of hard to see, You see with the dry side now? You got to poke it down a little bit. See? Just a little tip, not too hard. There is a, wow.
So far, everything is going to plan. The new crops are in the ground, the staff are focused and motivated.
And my family is proud of me. I'm like, oh wow, Mom, you're doing it. So yeah, I'm grateful.
Without this place, some of us will end up back on the street. And because of this place, I have somewhere safe and comfortable to live. And I also have a job.
But there are rules, random drug testing being one of them.
Here we are very strict about it. We have regular drug testing.
And this test is also a saliva test, and it tests for THC, so that's marijuana.
We have a straightforward policy. You cannot take any form of drug while working here. If you prove positive, we let you go immediately.
Some unwelcome news comes through. Amy has tested positive. She's been there for just 2 months and is immediately dismissed from the programme. And now, Rebecca hasn't shown up for work.
Rebecca's in custody and has been remanded for a week because she proved positive to having taken cocaine in the last week. I don't know if it's parole in her case actually at all, because she came straight out of Caribbean Haven, right? This is the problem. This is the problem with taking people directly from Caribbean Haven when they should be going into halfway houses, but there is not a halfway house at the moment for women. So we have to take them, and of course we're taking people directly from a rehabilitation centre and not from a halfway house. And that's proving to be a problem. Falling like flies. Okay.
I don't know who it affects, but it don't affect me. What it does with me, it lets me know that recovery has no ending to it. It's like I can ever let myself say, boy, I am cured now. It makes me feel bad knowing that one of us had gone back out there, but at the end of the day, it makes me realize that, whoa, it can easily happen to me, just not paying attention to my recovery. So.
And does the team have, how do you feel about the random testing? Is it something that...
I feel great about it. I feel great about it.
When somebody messes up, I feel it for them. As far as the random testing, I welcome that because some people, it keeps them on their toes. Without this random test, they tend to go and do what they got to do, get high or whatever, and they ain't worrying about it. But once you got that rule in place, it kind of keeps you in line, you know?
Yeah.
And some people will go and do it and some people won't. But I welcome it. I don't be afraid of it.
For now, everyone else is just going to have to work harder. It's the end of the rainy season, and time for the tobacco seedlings to be planted out. But they only have enough compost for a small research garden.
Yesterday we started planting the tobacco. That's where we got the tobacco plant now. That's the research garden. That's where we does all our research, you know. And once we get it how we want it, then we take it out to the big fields in the commercial garden.
We've got the research garden planted out, but the commercial field, where the majority of the tobacco would be, is taking some time to get set up, and that was due mainly to the weather. We had a lot of rain late last year, so the machinery was getting bogged down in there, and we had to wait for it to dry out, and then when the machinery could get in, it's been breaking down, and we've had flats and rims and stuff that are busted, and so it's been slow going to get it set up. And then the vegetable garden that we want to plant, that has been planned for months and months. The hold up there is just material for the fencing. We can't get any material for the fencing. And if we were to plant there without any protection, I mean, we've got agoutis and rabbits and chickens and iguanas, and it would just be pointless. So that's holding us up, which is a bit disappointing.
This is 1725 Revolution.
Coconut oil and flour, that was going well. We've got our new grater head set up and it's working great. But we don't have coconuts, so that's kind of stalled for the moment.
We're gonna make them go back so high. Keep it like a hedge.
But otherwise, everyone's still here, and I think with the new year and with all the projects that are going on and seeing some of the progress we're making and dealing with some of the issues that we're dealing with, we're good. We're a solid team now. Like, we're kind of on board with everything. So yeah.
Charles has had enough.
You know, there is a strong aura of like redundancy in the stuff that we do. Our entire future depends on tobacco and stuff, and quite frankly, you know, I'm sick of hearing it because, you know, I'm like the third longest working employee here, and I have seen nothing. You know, I've given this place my all. I'm not the best worker. I have times where I don't feel like coming to work. You know, that's probably due to just the monotony, you know, and the redundancy of coming and doing the same stuff all the time, whatever, and it does have an effect on a human. You know, I feel like I do have to, you know, make my voice heard. You know, I do have to express that, look, I'm not happy with this, and this is not enough for me. You know, this is not enough for me, and if it's not enough for me, you know, I'm not going to put my all into it.
It's not even the job is the problem. It's not the heat of the mosquitoes. It's really an internal thing that they're struggling with. Sometimes it's just like you're top of the world and you feel like you've got it going, you know, you got a handle on it, and then there's other times when it's just you're really in the dumps and everything's going wrong and you want to blame the world for your problems, you know.
Charles eventually decides to leave Beacon Farms. Staff issues aside, the farm is moving forward. But the one thing holding it back is a lack of soil.
Creating soil economically and creating an environment in which we can get plants to grow is a challenge, and it's an ongoing challenge.
The chippings from the green waste are no good for the expensive new compost facility.
The problem we're having is we're using the chipper to chip the pieces of wood, the branches and the trees and all that. And what we're getting out of the chipper is some really big pieces. And we really would like smaller, finer pieces so that we could speed up the composting process.
And This, they hope, is the answer. A brand new horizontal chipper. But even with a new compost facility, it still won't be enough. So Granger has another idea. It's a state-of-the-art Italian rock crusher, pulled by a giant new tractor.
What this machine does is it crushes the rock completely to dust. So you refine an entire acre. Then you just dump compost onto it, plough it in, and that's the beginnings of your soil science. And that is revolutionary.
So now we have a fantastic sand-based crushed rock bed mixed with nutrient-rich soil. And we think it's going to quite literally revolutionize the way farming is done here.
Compost is one thing, but I think the ability to do new things, grow new things, and change agriculture, that's really what we're all about. We're an idea farm.
A training program begins for the staff on how to use the new chipper and the rock crusher. Finally, the field trials begin in earnest. Expectations are running high. It's down to Anthony, their resident mechanic, to make it all work.
It does everything we expected, and just a matter of feeling our way through it, using it in stages, what's best for the machine, for wear and tear, both rock crusher and the tractor. The whole island suffers from that important soil all the time, and this crosses all that out. We have our own right here. No moving, you just add some compost and start planting. Good to go.
Anthony has impressed everyone. His recovery is going well.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, first thing in the morning we have our meeting. So that's definitely my favorite part. The reason why I like it so much is it's a great way for me as a recovering addict to start my day, It's never too late to restart, but having that opportunity to be able to walk into a meeting as you get to work, at work, it's trust me, it's unbelievable. It's a great feeling. It's a really great feeling.
It's been a long haul. With COVID and having lost several members of staff, finally things are starting to come together. And the new fencing for the market garden has finally arrived.
Then this gets ploughed in with the small hand tiller, the moving plough thing. And then they're going to start, they'll put screens up so that we can grow our beans and all the vertical stuff and a little bit of shading. And this is going to be, again, because I'm a little bit sensitive to spending a lot, we're just going to experiment and just see how clever we can be with the basic ones to start with, the easy to grow, stuff, and see how it works.
As for the tobacco, last year's crop has gone through the crucial fermentation process and is now ready for testing and ready for smoking.
This is Mr. Sandy. Meet him. He is the administrator of the farm where we are growing tobacco that in the future, not so far, is going to be part of our produce here. We're going to use those tobacco leaves to roll the pure Cayman cigar. Each 3 weeks, he comes to me with a sample of the 3 leaves to test them and see how the process is going. This is the one that should be ready. So I'm gonna taste it and then we will see what's gonna happen. So, because Mr. Sandy wants to taste as well, so I'm gonna roll 2 different tests.
Barbara mixes Sandy's samples with imported tobacco. And just like a fine wine, these tasting sessions will find out if Sandy's tobacco is hitting the right notes.
And then I'm gonna taste it.
This is an important moment for Beacon Farms.
This is Sandy. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. This is really good. Really light. Miss Nina's gonna call the fire truck, because we are smoking inside the building, and here is, yeah, let's go outside. It is so much smoke inside.
The sprinklers are going to come on and then we get
It's
arrested.
not all to do this. Congratulations, Mr. Sandy. You're getting tobacco.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not. It's gonna be just Cayman cigar. Yeah.
Still young.
It is
You know,
younger.
It's young and it's...
Exactly. The tobacco leaves needs more time.
It does. A lot
It
more.
needs a lot
Because
of
it's
more
such a
time
mild
curing.
tobacco.
It's gonna be good. I have a good feeling about Cayman tobacco.
Good tobacco's never been grown on a small island anywhere in the world next to the sea. Nobody's ever done it.
Nobody.
The first batch of cigars is going this week, and there'll be 5,000 plus cigars, and they'll be in the United States in 2 days after departing here on Cayman Airways.
Everyone at the farm is aware that growing a nicotine-based product in this day and age comes with its own issues. The worry is, while a profitable avenue for the farm, it may deter potential donors.
The tobacco we grow is for cigars.
Amen. And then the gold around it represents treasure.
And its potential as a revenue earner is enormous.
But I'll take one out.
We are a charity, and what we feel comfortable about is that the tobacco leaves the farm still unsmokable. And we feel that we're not actually producing something on site that is in any way harmful to those people who are working at the farm. We also talk to everybody who works on the farm, and to date, we've never had anybody feel uncomfortable about growing it.
They keep it as a sober living environment. So we said, well, why don't we do that here in Cayman?
For the past 2 years, Sandy has been finding ways to make Beacon Farms work, and it's literally cost millions to get to where they are today.
Granger had hoped that other benefactors on the island would step up and offset the loans with gifts. That hasn't happened to the extent that we had hoped. It has, and we have been generously supported at times, but not with the sums required to repay the debt that the farm, that the Beacon of Hope Cayman Foundation owes the Haugh Foundation.
Sandy has spent the past 2 years developing a master plan. It's a sort of roadmap to the future. And today is an acid test.
Good to see you. And you too.
A presentation to a potential donor.
This is a little tool to try and describe the sort of direction we're thinking of going over the next 5 years, assuming we can get the funding to do it. The rock crusher for us is critical, so it's a game changer. Yeah. The red numbers that you see on here they relate back to the business plan. Here are the projects.
All I can say is that my visit today is mind-boggling. I mean, I see a vision here that's taking shape, and I've been gobsmacked by the rock-smashing rock crusher and the soil it produces. That is obviously a key to future growing of crops. Coconut trees planted. I've seen cigar leaves growing. I am just gobsmacked by the whole thing.
Beacon Farms is slowly but surely becoming a reality. The big ideas are finally getting big results. The transformation of rock into soil could revolutionise farming in the Cayman Islands. The new chipper creates compost from all sorts of waste. The rock crusher is tilling the new 3-acre field for future planting. The compost is then loaded and taken out to the field, ready to be ploughed in.
The creation of soil and the care of it and the improvement of it and the science of improving it is central to everything we do on the farm.
The ball's starting to roll in our direction. That's what I mean about this year. It gives me goosebumps because we really struggled last year, you know, in a good way. We didn't have the right machinery, we didn't, you know, all sorts of things were set against us. Now we've got the right stuff, we've got the right kit. That's a jet you have out there. That tractor, that's a jet. Really look after that baby, you know? And that thing that came from Italy, the rock crusher, man, we're revolutionizing how they look at agriculture on the Cayman Islands. We've fundamentally done something that everybody told me we couldn't do.
But once again, fate had other plans for them.
At about 10:30 last night, I got a phone call from the farm to say that the compost area was alight. And when I arrived, it was already obvious that our brand new wood chipper, Moorbark, was in flames, as was most of the compost that we had in storage.
In the night?
Yeah, in the night. Everything went in a blaze. So when I came in this morning, I seen the disaster, and you know that the big old new van chipper we just bought. That hurt my heart so much, and all of that material that all those nice landscapers were donating to us, you know. All that smoke going on tobacco, you know, is very good for the tobacco. Because of that, yeah. Maybe finally when we put it in the barn, we really smell tobacco. We're like, yeah, I smell smoke.
Looks like what actually happened is that in the afternoon there was a small fire in the paper shredded material, which the boys assumed they'd put out, and everybody went home. There was no smoke, it looked like they dealt with it, and then at around about, as I said, 10:30, it flared up and it took hold. Luckily, it wasn't windy. Thank goodness, because that stopped it from spreading.
We'd finally reached a point in our progress where we'd imported the machinery we needed. We were learning how to use all of the machinery that we had. Everything was going really well, and then we lost our big wood chipper. Luckily, we were insured, and we finally had a new one imported. That pulled us back 5 or 6 months. So if you add that to what we lost with COVID, maybe a year, it's absolutely amazing. We've got to where we have, having had 2 disasters.
It's been 6 months since the fire. It's now 2022, and Beacon Farms is almost unrecognisable. Sandy and the team have succeeded in creating a growing and thriving business.
This year, especially since we started with the jackfruit harvest and the mangoes, we've been trying to keep that going. We're going just about every week and able to deposit some money, so that's a change from last year where we weren't really putting anything in the bank. But this year we're making a start in terms of sales. And I mean, that's the whole goal. We mightn't be able to be 100% self-sufficient right away, but at least to say that we're putting something back into the company.
Anthony, the recovering addict and mechanical guru, has now been made supervisor. And it's down to him to turn the barren 5-acre field into fertile land.
This is the Valentini tiger. This is like the 3rd or 4th stage. First stage is you take the rock grinder, crush the land, do it 2 or 3 times, and we come through with what we call a ripper, even the field back out, and we roll it, compact it, and last stage is forming the beds. Without this machine, a bed this length would probably take about a day and a half. We've done 3 of these in about 10 minutes. So, really cool. I would just like to express how grateful I am. Really grateful to have this opportunity to be a part of this. You know, it changed my life completely.
It's not the first time this sort of thing has happened on the farm. Sean Moyle is the son of the former owner, Edna Moyle. He grew up here, and now he's come to see for himself how things have changed.
It was a wild time, it was a happy time. As you can imagine, this is a beautiful place, this is a mystical place. To see the original fruit trees still here, to see the house still here, and the fact that it wasn't knocked down and the trees weren't knocked down, and then to see what Beacon Farms is doing, adding to it, the technology being used here. You know, what you guys are doing with that tiller out there is amazing because you get to grind the rock and turn that into soil as well. I think I used the word amazing 40 times since I've been here walking around the property. They're helping people that are down on their luck. As a kid, I remember my mother would, other younger generation people out there that were maybe down on their luck as well, maybe addicted to some form of substance. She would bring them to the house and they would stay with us. And a lot of them have become big-time contributors to society. They got cleaned up. That whole part of helping people get back on their feet and giving people something to do and rehabilitating people, that's amazing. That's amazing that you know, this property is also carrying on that kind of a revolution.
Sean's family had also wanted to develop what is an historic property for visitors to come and enjoy a plantation-style farm. This was their vision. Now today it's somewhat different, but tour groups are now coming to Beacon Farms to see an agricultural revolution in action. Beacon Farms is making waves across the island. It's become so successful, there's another high-level visit. This time, it's the Premier.
Various ministers of the government have visited the farm, and the Premier specifically showed a great deal of interest in our objectives in food security. The farm is very focused on research and development in farming, soil production, and the development of food produce that would fill bellies during a crisis. Our commercial fields are going to be divided up with a broad crop selection in order that we are not dependent on one crop in a harvesting season. We've already started fencing off different sections for different crops, from dragon fruit to eggplants, tomatoes and so on. The objective being to completely cover the 5 acres.
It's taken Sandy and the team 3 years to turn Beacon Farms from a derelict plantation on barren, rocky soil into a well-organised and productive farm. And they've shown how recovering addicts can not only transform the land, but also transform their own lives.
I think it's just a great project, a really valuable project socially, and something that I think any country would be proud of.
What it's about are our folks here in recovery, and everything that we do is to help people get back to their families, get back into a productive society.
From a zero-income startup to a robust operation primed for rapid income growth, not only have we gone through a great deal of advancement, we have done so with a team consisting of addicts in recovery with no experience in farming, which is an enormous achievement in itself.
It's not too many places like this on the island. And I'm grateful that, I have the opportunity to wake up in the morning and walk around here.
Working here has taught me acceptance and patience. And those are things, when you're in recovery, especially acceptance is very important.
I like the program. It's here to help people, and thank you, Mr. Granger, for doing it.
How about tobacco, cigar, aftershave? Or beard oil.
It's like a dream coming true. But it's like anything else, I have to cherish it and work towards it, and recovery is the things like a plant. Once I water it, it grows,
Stop recording.